Hi, I'm Katie, and I am the owner and artist behind Blue Poppy Home. I am thrilled today to give you a tutorial on how to take this basic dish and turn it into this beautiful holder for your jewelry and small treasures. This tutorial takes about 15 minutes on the video. You can stop and pause the whole time. It will definitely take you longer than 15 minutes to complete the project. But when you are done, please take a picture and tag us at Blue Poppy Home on Instagram. I would love to see what you have created. Go ahead and grab your kit and let's get started.
Start by opening up the canvas pouch and pulling out all of our supplies. So we'll start with, you should have a full-size napkin, a nail file, a sponge bouncer, paintbrush. There are 3 different things in this little bag. We have some Mod Podge gloss and 2 different colors of paint. One is your base paint, the other is gold, and your dish. One of your trays may look like this. They are all a little bit different, but the process is roughly the same. The first thing we need to do is figure out how much napkin we need. So I'll just start by putting the item, the tray, on top of the napkin and figure out if that width is going to make it, and it will. And so I'm just going to cut out one panel. It just makes it easier to do it this way instead of trying to wield the gigantic napkin around. And I can save this for another project some other time. The next thing we need to do is remove the white layers. So some napkins are 1 ply, some are 2. The easiest way to get the white stuff off, I just use my fingernail and sort of rub along the edge because that loosens the little studs basically that hold it together. And so I've got the first piece already. The second is always the one that's a little harder. You can see when we pull it away, we basically have a translucent pattern, and that's what you want it to look like whether your napkin is 1 ply or 2 ply. I'm also going to dampen my brush here. We don't need water for this project, but I just like to have the brush be a little bit loosened up. And we're going to start with the Mod Podge. This is going to be both your glue and your sealer, but for this part of the process, we're going to use it as the glue. And what I found is the easiest way to do any of these types of projects is just do a stripe across the center of the dish. And we'll use this to anchor the napkin before we embark on full attachment. So just position the napkin over the dish where you want the pattern to lie and press down gently. Try not to rub hard. If you rub hard, it's likely that the napkin will rip. So tapping is your best approach here. And then once that feels good, fold it over, grab a little bit more Mod Podge. The Mod Podge should not be thick. It should be a relatively thin coat. If you apply it too thinly and it dries too fast and the napkin doesn't adhere, go ahead and add a little bit more next time. Keeping the layers of glue light means that you're helping to reduce wrinkles in your end product. So following that same process to sort of tap and gently make sure that the napkin is fully adhered. And then flip it over and do the other side the exact same way. Basically, you don't want any goopy pooling of the Mod Podge. And you can see I am lightly rubbing this, but remember I've had a little bit more experience, I'm assuming. So I have a little bit more practice there. So again, tapping, very, very lightly rubbing will work for this. And then I went around and I noticed there was a spot that wasn't quite attached. There's a bubble underneath here. So I'll just add a little bit more and repeat that same process. And go all the way up to the edge. Even if you end up getting glue along the rim, that's going to be okay. It will all work out and we'll file it off. Now I don't need all this extra napkin here, so I'm just going to cut off the excess, leave about 1/4 of an inch around the outside. I'll just make everything easier to work with as we continue the project. And take an opportunity to rinse off my brush. Now we want to get as many of the wrinkles out as possible. So I have this Ziploc bag that I've cut up. So I just have one piece of the Ziploc and a crumpled up piece of saran wrap. Keeping the Ziploc in place and then using the saran wrap to do that slightly harder rub on the napkin will allow us to get a lot more of those wrinkles out and get everything situated. Don't let the larger Ziploc plastic move around because that will tear. There will still be a few light wrinkles, but those are going to go away as everything dries. The good news is that because this dish is concave, I can go ahead and flip it over and apply the paint to the bottom. I'm embarrassed to say it, but when I apply paint, I do a lot of little short strokes and it looks like just a hot mess as I'm going through it. But in the end, I will cover all of that up and it'll be fine and everything will look great. So I do a lot of small strokes and then follow that with some larger strokes, but however you like to paint is good. And you want to get up as close to the lip or the rim as you can, but you don't need to get all the way to the top. You can, because when we go around and apply the gold paint later, the imperfections around the lip of the rim will disappear, which is one of the reasons why this project is so approachable. So I still got a few streaks. I'm going to let this dry and then apply a second coat. And clean off my brush. All right, so I let this sit in front of a fan, a room fan, on a low setting, about a foot away from it, for about 15 minutes, and that allowed the paint to get dry enough for me to go to put a second coat on. That is definitely a trick I use in my own workshop. Is a fan on low setting is always running in here, and it gets a lot of business. So I set a lot of things up in front of it to speed up the drying, but not by too much because I do want it to sort of dry at room temperature as much as possible. A hair dryer on a low setting, low heat, low fan is also another good way to speed up that drying. So you can see now I have excellent coverage. So again, I'm going to stick this in front of the fan, let it sit for another 15 minutes, and then we'll continue. So you see it's nice and matte now. So it's all good and dry. Now we get to take off that excess napkin. So grab your nail file and just lightly go across the whole edge of the bowl. And this is very satisfying. You'll end up with a little ring of napkin that you can just throw away at the end. So you can see it all comes off in a continuous piece, which is kind of nice. Though it may actually create a little bit of dust, so just be aware of that. And there we go. And then I always like to go around the edge a little bit just to make sure I got everything. A couple imperfections in the paint that I can fix later. I also like to just make sure the napkin's completely adhered because sometimes it just misses. And if you find anything like that, just grab a tiny bit of Mod Podge, throw it underneath the napkin, and then just on top of the napkin, just brush it up to re-adhere it. And so I've got a couple of edges. And then again, we are going to let this dry for another 15 minutes or so, and we should be good to go. Clean off your brush. Now we get to do the gold, which is one of the fun parts of the project. So just dab a little bit into the paint pot and rub off the excess on the edge of the pot, because otherwise it'll goop when you put it on, and it'll just have this big splotch. I'm always getting gold paint on my fingers, so I just rub them together, get rid of it. And then just dab, go around the edge. You may or may not need 2 coats. So if it seems light in some areas, just continue, let that first coat dry, and then come back again and do a second coat. I can tell already that this one's going to need 2. So I'm just going to proceed. Yeah, I definitely have a few spots that need a little extra. So I'll just set that aside to dry and then put a second coat on. And when I come back, we'll be ready to seal it. Okay, so I did my second coat of gold. Now I'm going to reopen that Mod Podge, grab my brush, and we're just going to brush this all over the inside of the bowl. Great thing about Mod Podge, it goes on white, which is great because you can see where you put it already. This is, again, it's a thin layer, maybe a little, probably about the same as what you used when you attached the napkin. And just want to get it even all over the entire pattern. And when we're done with that, we'll flip it over and do the same thing on the back. Notice that I took the paper towel out of the way and put this on. It's a silicone mat that I have this laying on. And the reason I did that is I don't want any residual glue getting stuck on the paper towel and then attaching to the bowl. So I just moved that out of the way. You could do the same thing. You could take a piece of saran wrap or use that Ziploc bag to set this down on top of, so you don't need anything new. So in my brilliance, to try and hold this thing in place and keep it from moving around, I used the part of the spouncer and then my fingernail, and I ended up scraping off some of the paint. Not a big deal. I will let this dry and then come back. I'll touch that up, and then we are almost done. So the final thing an artist would do, I did apply a second coat of the Mod Podge here, but the artist part of you want to sign your work. I have these little tags that I can attach to the bottom of mine. But you can grab a Sharpie, a gold Sharpie would be great, and you just write your initials on there or whatever mark you want. And there you go. You've got this beautiful dish, and it will be a wonderful gift for someone you love or for you. And I hope you really enjoyed the project and had a good time and learned something new.